Hey, welcome back everybody. Another episode of the Masterclass. Let's go. The last few episodes were on the heavier side, longer, full of information. So today we're taking a different approach, a lighter topic. Easy, but useful. And since we already devoted a lot of time in the previous episodes talking about taking care of your animals or growing crops, today we'll cover the topic of keeping all of that fresh and edible. So let's talk about food preservation. So food preservation is actually not an in-game skill, however it's loosely associated with cooking for various recipes that I will be showing in today's tutorial. And for any type of long-term playthrough, especially if you want to settle down on a farm, you're a farmer type of a player, you need to know these techniques to be able to function efficiently. And I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here. There are basically three methods of preserving your food and making it last longer. The obvious one is freezing, the most commonly used by most of us. But there are two other methods which I consider far superior to freezing, and those are jarring and drying. And just to note guys, this tutorial is going to be a mixture of vanilla game functionalities as well as some mods which I like to use for the purpose of keeping my food fresh and edible for longer. And as you can see guys on the video, this is actually my base I am using in my current playthrough. I do have a lot of freezing capacity. I have a total of 5 freezer chests and a standard refrigerator, which gives roughly 140 kilograms of freezing space, which is a lot. But why is freezing a suboptimal method for maintaining or preserving large quantities of food? Well, there are actually two reasons. The first and most obvious is that the moment the power in game goes off, you will need your generators to keep up all of that infrastructure, and this is gonna effectively consume a lot of fuel in your generators, so that means frequent visits to the gas station. So this can limit the way that you play because you need to take into consideration how much fuel you have and how long the generators can keep your base running while you are away, for example, exploring different cities. And the second thing is, I think a common misconception on the mechanics of freezing and refrigerating. Freezing something does not mean it's not going to go bad. It just increases the spoil time. If you refrigerate something, you will increase it by 5 times. And freezing will increase the spoil time 50 times. So as in this example, if a fish fillet takes 2 days to go bad, refrigerated, it's going to take 10 days, and frozen, it's going to take 100. So it's still not a perfect solution. So what alternatives do we have? Frankly speaking guys, humanity figured out these things a long time ago, and we've got some of the mechanics in game to do that. Let's talk about the drying first. So what is drying? If you ask ChatGPT, it will tell you it's a process of removing moisture to inhibit the growth of bacteria, yeast and mold, therefore preserving the food for longer periods. And this can be done using in either small or a large plant drying rack, which I am building right now. And as you can see, this is the small plant drying rack, and this is the vanilla version of the game with no mods. You can dry all kinds of herbs, flowers. Some of them can be later on used as spices. Some of them can be used in first aid, but not anything that would actually help you survive long term, right? It's hard to survive off dry oregano, right? Now the large rack is a bit more useful for this purpose because it allows you to dry stuff like sunflowers or wheat or corn. Each one of these are either food by itself, like the sunflower seeds, or can be turned into food, like turning dried wheat into flour. Now flour can be particularly useful because it can be turned into bread or pies, but in order to obtain flour, first you need to build your own mill, and that's not going to be possible without leveling up masonry first. So if you have no clue how to do that, well, it's your lucky day. I do have a tutorial on that as well. And once the mill is set up, you have two options. You can either grind your seeds into flour, Or you can also make a seed paste, and the seed paste is something that can be used to create vegetable oils, and it's also a way of preserving your food because you're taking a perishable plant and you turn it into an extract which is, well, non-perishable. So you keep all the nutrition, but it doesn't go bad. And I can already hear you say, Gertrix, we should be able to dry more than just the basic items which are included in the vanilla game, and I can completely agree with you on this. Thankfully, we've got one of the best modding communities in the world, and this has been fixed already for build 42. And as you can see on the video, using exactly the same small plant drying rack, I am able to dry basically a broccoli or a carrot and turn them from a perishable, fresh type of a vegetable into a dried version which doesn't go bad. Now the mods that I am using for this purpose have been created by a user called Bender at Steam. I'm gonna link some of them in the description of the video. As you can see, he created several different mods purely dedicated to food preservation. Now one thing that I was not able to find on Steam Workshop and is not included in the base game is the possibility of drying either meat or fish. A very common practice of preserving these types of foods, but at least for now I am not familiar with anything that adds this possibility into the game. So if you know a mod that adds that, please share in the comments. I would love to have it. And finally, my personal favorite, jarring. Something I like to do not only in Project Zomboid but actually also in real life. And what is jarring? It's a process of preserving food by sealing it in a sterilized jar, heating it to kill bacteria and create a vacuum seal, and this can extend the life of food extensively. And as you can see on this example, a fresh cabbage stays fresh for 2 days outside of the refrigerator. It will stay fresh for 365 days after jarring. It's a huge difference. Now, in order to make a jar of produce in-game, you need obviously a jar and a jar lid. You need the food you want to preserve. In this example, I am preserving cabbages, water, vinegar, and some salt. This is in the vanilla version of the game, but the mods that I've shown you before, they also allow us to jar different products, jar fruit. I mean, show me somebody that does not like a strawberry jam, for example. Once your character is done with mixing all these ingredients, one final step you need to do is just heat up the jar in an oven or a stove until it's cooked, and once that's done, this jar is gonna stay fresh for 365 days. And before we close, not necessarily related to food preservation, but I also found the mods to make your own cheese, yogurt, and sugar really useful. Especially cheese for me, as a person who loves cheese on pretty much anything. Not having the ability to make my own cheese when I'm having cows and I have milk was kind of a bummer. So having a mod that allows that is just awesome. That's it for today, guys. I know preserving food might sound like a useless skill, especially considering that most of us, well, die pretty fast in the game. But it's actually knowledge that's pretty useful to have, because at some point someday you're gonna make it and you're gonna live on your farm outside one of the more crowded cities and just, you know, chill out. And if you like the videos and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you for staying till the end of the video. If you liked it, let me know by leaving a like or a comment. I'm Gertrix. Cheers, guys.